Hey, senior citizens, we're talking about conservatorships today. This is Michael Scott, your host for Seniors in Action, the channel that is designed especially for senior citizens, and we produce videos that are of interest to senior citizens. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and get started. You'll see the next slide is basically our affiliate action slide, saying that if you buy from this channel, anything from the description area on this channel, we're going to get a commission. So be aware of that, and we actually like to get commissions. So thank you very much if you check those buttons. Let's get started again. Let's talk for a minute about what a conservatorship is. It's basically a legal structure that's formed in the United States to allow one individual to make financial decisions for another individual. And generally, in a lot of cases, the individual for whom those financial decisions are being made has been declared mentally incompetent and not able to make decisions for himself. So the courts will form a conservatorship, and a conservator will be appointed by the court. And as far as the incompetence goes of the individual, the court will have somebody that they've accepted, professional, a psychiatrist or someone like that, who will make the decision as to whether this person is competent or incompetent. Let me talk for a minute about why conservatorships are formed, and then we'll go on and talk about some information that you need to know about conservators. But the two times that I have been experienced, I've been a conservator before. One was with an older lady that had no children, and she had developed dementia, and she couldn't make decisions for herself, so she was declared incompetent, and a conservator was brought in. Another situation that you see quite a bit is when an older man or lady getting older may have quite a few assets in the estate, and they're kind of teetering on dementia, or maybe they have dementia. The kids are fighting over who should be taking care of her, or who should be taking care of the assets, or maybe one of the children is spending all the assets. But anyway, they start arguing. And in that case, then a conservatorship would be formed as well. So some of the things you need to know about conservators: anyone can be accepted by the court as a conservator. When I say that, the conservator laws in every state are different. So that may not be the same in every state, but it was in the state that I practiced as a conservator. Now, this would include family members, attorneys, CPAs. I'll tell you right now, it's not a nice job to be a conservator. There are not very many people that are willing to serve as conservators. So you're kind of caught in the middle between at least 3 attorneys and 2 bickering parties, and the court, and this poor individual that is also caught in the middle with you. As I mentioned, conservatorships are governed by state law. Conservators manage the financial affairs of the individual. And guardians are different. So you might hear those words used interchangeably, but guardians handle the physical and mental health of the person. They're not responsible for the financial affairs of the person. They handle the physical and mental health of the person. So be aware of that. Now we have a quick break in the presentation. This next slide just reminds you to send me any information that you have concerning what troubles you as a senior citizen, and I'll try to find some information on it and produce a video on it so that we all might learn together. So let me serve you better. All right, let's go on and talk about things you may or may not like about a conservator. You need to understand that this conservator does not represent you. He or she is going to represent the conservator's interest and not yours. So you may want something done, and you may think that your mother or father, brother, whatever it might be, need to be treated differently as far as their financial affairs, and that conservator does not care. I mean, of course he cares, but it's his first job is to protect and grow the assets of the conservatee. So remember that his duties to the court and not to you. I had one situation where after the conservatorship was winding up, they wanted me to send them detailed records of receipts and all this stuff, and I just had to tell them that I had reported to the court had accepted my findings, and I wasn't going to send it to them, but so conservator reports to the court. Generally has the right to make all decisions concerning the financial affairs of the conservatee, unless it's a limited conservatorship. That is the case, and generally they've got sweeping powers. So I'll tell you right now, you don't want a conservator. You need to get along and do anything you can to not have a conservator, because it's not in your best interest. Now, the conservator has reporting responsibilities to the court, and the court determines his term of service as well. Terms of service we'll get into in a few slides. Let me give you some advice from a practiced CPA that's been a conservator. Get along with each other. Try to avoid having a conservator if you can. I mean, I see some families that are so violently mad and hate each other that the only thing left is to get a conservator. And boy, everybody just loves to hop into that role as a conservator in that situation. If a conservator is appointed, make sure you get along with him. Try to get along with him. I had one situation where one of the beneficiaries was so vindictive. She was going behind my back and changing accounts, trying to cut her brother out of whatever her mother had, or what she was going to inherit. And these things get really vicious. So if you can, just avoid having a conservator and try to get along. I mean, these things the conservator costs you. We'll get into that, and like we said, there's some decisions that you might like, not like, that they make. All right, let's talk about what conservators do. They pay the bills, they collect income, set up bank accounts, make sure that any money that the individual has is invested, and using a professional to invest it. They should not, if they're smart, invest it themselves. They make sure the tax returns have been prepared and filed. And again, if they're smart, even me being a CPA and having a CPA practice, I did not prepare the tax returns. I farmed it out through a third party because I wanted to retain independence. I think you're safer that way. You maintain and repair assets as needed, so that if they have a home, you keep that home in good shape. Sell property when appropriate. That might mean selling real estate. It might mean selling a house, whatever the situation is. I mean, some older people, the only money they have left is in their house, and so they don't have any income stream coming in, and so you have to sell that property to be able to afford to keep them somewhere, especially if they're in a nursing home. Nursing homes can eat up an estate very quickly. Conservator works with the guardian to make decisions about future living arrangements as needed, about health insurance, health matters, pharmaceutical matters, that type of thing. And then they maintain an accurate reporting record, if they're a good conservator anyway, of all the transactions, so they can report to the court, because they do have an obligation to report all the expenditures they make to the court. And even with that, they've got sweeping authority. I mean, a conservator has got a lot of authority to do quite a few things. But that's the majority of the things that they would be involved in. How much do conservators get paid? First of all, they're paid out of the assets, from the assets of the conservatee or the individual, the conservatorship, so to speak, out of those assets. So when I was doing this, I charged for our staff time only $75 an hour, which is very low. I think most people charge more than that. And that's for clerical time, paying the bills and making the deposits and just that kind of stuff. The time that I had to be involved, which was quite a bit actually, I charged a higher rate, and I think I charged about $150 an hour. And I think what you'll see in the marketplace is people charging $250 to $300 an hour probably. But sometimes you can actually structure the conservator's pay and hourly rate into the conservator appointment. And if you can do that, well, then you know how much the conservator can charge and have a good idea going in as to what those fees might be. One question people ask is how long is the conservator going to serve? And that depends. He may be appointed first as a temporary conservatorship, and that's going to last 30 days. But at the end of that 30 days, they're probably going to decide that conservatorship needs to stay in place. And so if he's done a good job during that 30 days, he will be assigned a regular conservatorship. And in that case, he will probably serve until the conservatee passes away and the estate and all or the trust and everything is distributed and the estate is finalized. And then he will be released. Now, in some situations, a conservator might move in the middle of the conservatorship, and so that would be cause for release. In other situations, he may be abusing his role as conservatorship and not representing the person in the way he should, and so there may be a petition that he be released, and he may be released under that way. But generally, if once he's appointed and it's not a temporary conservatorship, it's going to be for the rest of the life of the individual that he's representing. A few other things you need to know about conservatorships, and I've mentioned some of these already. They may be limited, maybe a limited conservatorship where some rights still remain with the conservatee, and that might be a situation where he is not mentally incapacitated, but incapacitated in another way, and he can still make decisions on his own in some cases. I mentioned that a conservator may be removed for acts that violate the relationship. And this last thing, if you ever are appointed to be a conservator, make sure you maintain your independence. It's not the little old lady or the little old man that you're representing that's going to give you problems. It's the beneficiaries. So make sure you do not play favorites or even look like you're playing favorites with those beneficiaries. Maintain your independence. Use a third-party professional for investing the money. Don't try to do that yourself. Don't try to do the tax return yourself or any other types of things yourself. Use professionals. Even though they cost money, it is protecting you because you need to maintain that independence to protect yourself as a conservator. All right, that's it. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate you being here. Stay healthy, stay active. Thanks for liking, and thanks for subscribing to this channel.